episode 43 of the Circle Back podcast, show where two great friends get together and just talk about video games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufrenoy.
Hola.
And Dan, I want to kick it off, like you know I love to.
What we've been playing the past 2 weeks.
What have you been playing, Dan?
Well, I've only been playing one game.
Which game?
It's been one of those weeks. But it's a game that I know you finished. And it's a game that I have even more strong feelings about today than I did 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It's called Wander Song.
Wander Song.
Yeah, so
we do love that game.
I know you finished it. So I don't know if you want to give your spiel first or you want to give my spiel first.
I want to hear your spiel.
So, I'm sure I said this last episode, but Dan's the one that he texted me. He's like, Dan, you gotta play this game. And I did. And he was raving about it, so that made me really, really excited for it. And it made me just like my hype for it was already so heightened because I respect this guy so much and his opinions. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, if he says this is a Dan Dufrenoy game, I'm gonna love it. So I was playing it and I was enjoying it. It was nice, it was colorful, but like I didn't love it the way that I wanted to love it until I'm going to try to pinpoint for those that have played the game. I think it was the first, and I'm going to do slight spoiler kind of thing.
You can do little ones, but don't spoil any big things.
There's just an area where it's like it's marked by the theme of depression. I'll put where even
it's very clear.
Our hero is doubting himself and to me that was like the point. And then everything from there onwards has been one of the most, like, amazing, like, the writing was already good, but just, like, the feelings, the way that every character is presented with this sense of, like, actual, like, human feeling, and, like, they have their own soul, and it's just, like, such a beautiful, I can't even describe it. I am now, everything that you were saying about this game, I feel now. I didn't necessarily feel that before. I liked it, but, like, I wasn't thinking, oh, it's the top 10 games of the year.
Right.
But now that I've gotten to this point, in certain areas past it, I am totally, totally in love with it. And I see this top 10 games of the year and one of my favorite games of all time. And it's just...
Wow, high praise, Dan.
Yeah, because it at first it was this, oh, this is a nice game, like they're trying to do something. But then they kind of just like went over this precipice where like now it's just I'm so engrossed and I care so much about every single one of the characters. Yeah. Where I haven't felt that game way since like A Night in the Woods or a Swapper, which you mentioned earlier. Like, where I am just so... This game is amazing. I'm loving every second. Now I have the push to get to the end of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Not just enjoying it.
I would agree with a lot of what you said. For me, this is definitely a contender for top 10. Like, I think it's an amazing, amazing game. I did finish it just a few days ago. The thing that I would say is, much like what you said, the beginning of the game kind of sets you up as like wow, this is like a refreshing game, but you're kind of not really, you don't really understand that it's actually really going for something a little deeper. You're just like, oh, what a nice,
it's like oh, it's
you're
cute,
singing, colorful, you're like, this is such a nice game, but you're right, it hits a point where you're like, okay, they're getting into some real stuff, and then it just starts going and going even more and more into that. I think I love the end of this game. My one criticism would be, I think it's just a little tad too long.
The game?
I think I clocked in like 11 hours or something like that, and I loved it the entire time. It just, at a certain point, it was almost like, okay, like, you know, you started to get that fatigue a little bit, and I felt the same way with Night in the Woods, honestly. I enjoyed it the entire way through, but at a certain point, it's not that the story wasn't engaging me, it's that, like, you're like, I kind of see where this is going, and I just kind of needed to get there.
Get to the point,
you know what I mean? Again, like you said, all the characters, the way they're fleshed out, all the, you know, how each unique area is basically a character and an emotion in and of itself, right?
It reminds me very much of Majora's Mask, in which every area was like an actual like diagnosis or something.
That's exactly what it is here, because, and you could tell these people, I mean, you know, you did the dungeon where it was very Zelda-like, right? And it's like, you know, they understand what they're doing, they're just twisting it. And this definitely, it's interesting when you start to see the different emotions and what they are. Like when in that that lonely town, and it's like, you know, everyone's afraid to like be who they really are, and
Right.
then, you know, it's all about you coming through and being a genuine person and kind of opening people's eyes to be like, all right, we've been living this way for a while, we don't have to keep living like this.
Right.
It's just a beautiful game through and through. There are moments in this game that are just like, you know, there are moments that are emotional. There are moments that just make me like there's a moment, because you get to know these characters so much and you really get to fall in love with a lot of these characters. There are things that happen that are just like you're just happy for that person when it happens. And it's just such a cool thing in video games to see something like that.
But also like how even like the characters that you're not supposed to like or are supposed to be like wary of or whatever, even they have this like intense, you know, sort of, there's these people called like the overseers or whatever, and they're like going crazy and they're like causing the end of the world, but like then you kill them and well, you don't kill them, but like
they die. Yeah,
they die. There's a hero that's sent to kill them, and that's going to cause really all the like the odds are stacked against you. And these overseers are going crazy, but yet they like really what got me emotional was just like it was the spoiler, I think, yeah. Okay, the cat, like the cat with the crown.
Yes,
and like
that's one of the first ones. That's the Dream King, right?
Well, yeah, you're about to get the song from him or something, and like he knows that he's descending into madness, but like. He's also just like, yeah, but I don't want to die. And, like, it was just like, oh, my gosh, like, you know, it's not, this isn't just, I love how it presents itself as just it's like this cartoony sort of, like, happy Blue's Clues sort of, it presents itself like that. But then there's, you know, they're trying to say something. And, and it's like a really...
Having finished the game, I really think that they do a great job of saying it. And the things that they do to twist and turn what you expect to happen is what makes this game really special, in my opinion. Like, you know, from a little thing to a big thing, it's not always what you expect, and it kind of is trying to tell you, like, you can't always just look at something and say, that's going to happen this way.
Right.
And then sometimes it does, and you can get frustrated by it, and that's life. So I think it's just a tremendous game.
Yeah, high praise. Really
and
beautiful job.
Yeah, I just absolutely adore it.
I haven't been in it yet, though, but that'll happen.
Yeah. It'll happen. You're getting there.
I hope so.
I've been playing a few other games. I'm going to start with a game that I talked about on the last episode, Life is Strange 2.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's Life is Strange 2, Episode 1. I finally got to finish it. And I know I had touched upon the fact that they, you know, not in a similar way to Wandersong, but in a similar sentiment, they have a perspective and they're telling their story through a certain lens. And I talked about how that's interesting in video games because we get a lot of centrism in video games, especially big ones. Like, this is a Square Enix game.
Yeah.
You know, so I now have seen a character that literally says this to the kids, and this is a 16-year-old and a 9-year-old, like, Hispanic kids. He says, "You're the reason we should build that wall." And it's like, it's just so good. It's so, like, no matter what, no matter your feelings on the matter or anything, it's like, it's just nice to be like, they're not afraid to, like, say something, you know what I'm saying?
To show bigotry and show it.
But even on the other end, you know, you have a guy that is like a super liberal that you end up talking to, and he's like, you know, he says something about politics, and the kid says like, "Wow, you really are into politics," and he's like, "Everything's political, but like, I don't know if you know that," and it's like they're acknowledging it openly, and I think that's a really big step for this. And again, I need to preface it by saying, this is episode 1. I have no idea if they're going to stick the landing with any of this.
Right,
I have no idea if they're going to come back and do something that's going to make me go, oh my God, why was I like propping this game up? But in what I've seen, I finished the first episode, and I'm just, it's refreshing to see a perspective, and they're taking a side, and they're not like, you know, it's unashamed. Like they're just
Right.
like,
Yeah.
this is what this story is about, and
Here you go. Take it or leave it.
now I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Imagine writing a story about two Hispanic kids who something bad happens with the police, and now they're on the run to try to get to the border and trying not to be political.
Yeah.
Like that's the fear, is like you worry about that because you're like, oh my God, like when you heard about the premise of this, you're like, do they have the chops for this? Like, are they really even going to go through with it, or is this just a way of them to have trappings to take advantage?
Is it a David Cage-esque?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
we're trying to talk about something, but then end up not saying anything about it.
And the interesting thing with this, and again, this is just episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
is they are saying something, and it's not only telling a good story, because I think it's been very good so far. It's really trying to say something, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
So I finished episode 1. I think it was a tremendous episode, and we haven't had word on when episode 2 is coming out. But
is there 5?
Yeah, they always do 5 usually, so I would assume.
Okay.
But
it could be like months or it could be tomorrow if you don't.
Judging by their track record, they could give you. Usually they'll just give you like a week or 2 notice.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be like episode 2 coming out in a week, like that kind of thing. Could be November, could be February for all I know. I'm not sure. But,
Cool,
definitely recommend that first episode. Especially, I know you hadn't played any of the other.
I didn't play the first one, yeah.
I would really recommend you giving it a try. And
No, I know.
I know you have a lot of stuff going on, and I know you have a lot of games you've been playing. I'm not pushing you on it.
No, that's been on the list for a while. That was one of the first.
I think, now, the original season of Life is Strange, I still highly recommend, but I would recommend just jump in and play this.
Yeah.
It just seems like a more confident and well actualized package.
They took what they did in the first and just kind of like.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing. Everything that I loved about that first season, all the trappings, all the text messages, all the writing, the objects, the commentary on the objects, like all the adventure gamey stuff around it, is still incredible. Mm-hmm. And then they wrote an actual, like, really good story.
Awesome.
So,
that's great.
Yeah, that's why I'm definitely really, really into it.
Cool beans.
Yeah. Another game I'm playing is Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
I never thought that I'd ever hear Dan LaMarca talk about a Call of Duty game.
So,
circle back.
Yeah, and again, I used to love Call of Duty. I played Modern Warfare.
Everybody loves Modern Warfare.
It was a great game. It changed the game for what you could do with online shooters.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Especially at that time when it came out, I was big into
2008?
online. Yeah, I was big into online shooters. I'd come off of Halo 2 being one of my favorite games to play with friends and stuff. Like I was in that ecosystem, loving that. What got me to get Black Ops 4 is that they're doing a battle royale, and I know it's kind of a silly they're just trying to capitalize on someone else's idea, but I know that Call of Duty is generally a very polished and well-made experience. So I'm like, I really need to see what they're doing with the Battle Royale mode. And so I bought the game, and I have been really, really surprised at how much I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
really cool.
It has no story mode.
Okay.
It's just like regular multiplayer, which is like team deathmatch, objective-based things, whatever. Then it has Blackout, which is the Battle Royale. Then it has Zombies. Zombies is like a long mode that's been around for a while. It's like a co-op horde mode kind of thing.
I've played
I didn't know if you played Zombies.
Oh, man, I've played them all.
So I jumped right into the Blackout mode, and immediately they've made some changes in the Battle Royale format that I think are really, really good.
Yeah.
The identification of what is on the ground is a number one huge, huge thing for this game, in my opinion. Like, when in PUBG, you'll see weapons on the ground because it's, going for realism, it's just a weapon on the ground. You walk over, see what it is, yada, yada. This, it'll have, like, almost like a pop-up, tell you what gun is there, and whatever. So, like, you'd be like, all right, I don't have to go over there and check what that is. I don't have to go over there and check what that is. And it makes it so much less of a tedious experience because I think a lot of people prefer Fortnite over PUBG because there's a lot more looting and a lot more like basically identifying what you need
Mm-hmm.
to do well. And I think in this game, they do a really good job of solving that issue. I'll also say combat feels great, of course. It's a Call of Duty game.
Right, it's always polished.
They know what they're doing. So it's really nice to have a Battle Royale with that nice trappings around it.
What, how do you play, like, do you buy, like, is it just all online, so do you just, like, connect to a server, or do you have to buy the, how does it work? How did you get Call of Duty? I didn't know if it was like a Fortnite where you just, like a free download, just...
No, it's a
online,
full buy game.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, just give me one
No, it's
second.
okay. But is it, I'm just curious if it's like, for me at least, because I had fun with the Call of Duty games back in the day, but I don't know if, you know, I've played enough of them, and I've spent enough money on them that I'm just like, okay, they're all the same. Is the selling point just...
So no,
if you like Battle Royale, like
this
is
is
the
what I
best
was
of
going to
that,
say anyway.
like-
I have not played the Zombies mode yet. I have liked Zombies mode in the past with friends as like a, let's figure this weird thing out, let's get our system, whatever. And I haven't done that yet. But I have been really surprised at how into the deathmatch I am. I'm really into it. I'm really enjoying it. It's just a really fun, like, all the new abilities. There's almost like a hero system, I should explain. It's kind of like Overwatch Lite, right?
Okay.
Where it's like each character in the multiplayer has an ability that goes up over time depending on how well you do, and then an ultimate ability. So the ability that goes up over time might be like you can basically like throw a sensor dart out and it'll give you a little AoE of radar.
Okay.
It might be you call in an attack dog that just is automated, runs around and gets people. So the differences between that is really, really fun. At the same time, the smaller ones will be like one character has a grappling hook.
Okay.
One character has like a different secondary weapon or something like that. So they're all like individualized enough that it is made for a really interesting experience for me.
All right, so it's like its own unique sort of... It's
yeah,
not just,
and it's not... And this is what I'm saying. It's still Call of Duty.
Right.
It still feels like it. But I don't know if it's just been long enough or what it is, but I've just been really enjoying it. I'm not like hooked on it where I'm like, I just want to be playing it all the time. But like if I have a free couple hours, jump on, play for a while, I'm really enjoying it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool to hear, man. Awesome, not bad. I said, I don't know. I think I have enough games to try out for my opinion.
Yeah, this game, the thing I will say is I'm genuinely surprised at how much I'm liking it. I think it's a very well-made, very good game. I don't think you need to play it. I don't think it's like everyone needs to play this game. It's amazing. But it's like, if you're looking for a fun online experience, like play it. You know? And so that's it. Yeah. Cool. I really think it's a well-made game, and I've been really enjoying my time.
Cool, man.
with it.
That's awesome.
Excuse me, one sec.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
The next game on Dan's list.
Next game on the list. Really interesting one. I'm super glad I played it. It's called Florence.
I know that game.
Have you played it?
I
What do you know about it?
Well, was it on the PlayStation? Like I remember the cover art. Isn't it the girl with like she's like standing there and there's like a wind wisp?
I wonder what you're talking about.
Oh, that's not it.
It could be that. I think this is just a phone game, but I could be wrong.
No, I've seen the picture. It's the guy and the girl.
Yeah. And it's very
and it's like
cartoony,
a cartoon. Yeah,
yeah.
and she's standing there with him.
Yeah.
And there's like a wind wisp.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
She's wearing a yellow dress.
Sure. Yeah, probably. I don't know the picture you're talking about, so I don't know.
No, because the reason I know is I was looking at games you got to play in 2018 or whatever.
Okay.
And that was like one of that was on there, and
cool.
I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah. So I played through it.
So standing there, wind wisp.
Sure. Yeah.
If anybody's played that game and they know that picture that I'm talking about,
I think you're probably right, but that's not what the game it really is. Like that's not like an identifier to me as somebody that's
I don't know
played through the
anything
game.
about this game other than it was on this list and I saw that picture.
So I'll tell you a little bit about it. How
Okay.
about that?
Yeah.
So Florence is an iPhone game, and it opens up with this woman, mid-20s, late 20s, something like that.
Standing there with like wind.
She's standing there in the mirror, ready to brush her teeth, and then it just says like, swipe left and right to brush, right? So you brush your teeth, whatever. The basic idea is, it's a short, self-contained story about love, and it's all done through these really well-drawn, well-animated little like snippets that range from something as mundane as brushing your teeth or grocery shopping to, meeting a guy and, going out on a date and picking what you say and stuff like that. But it's all done contextually through the iPhone in a really interesting way, where an example would be, I don't want to spoil the really effective ones because some of them are really, really good and emotional. But like it would be like, all right, you two are having an argument, and you have to put together these little pieces of a puzzle and put them in a little dialogue box to get your side of the argument. And then he's doing the same thing on his side. The screen's like split in half. And so you're doing this, and it's just so well done, and there's not one word of dialogue spoken. It's just scenes and really, really amazing music the whole time.
That's cool.
Yeah. And look, that's the wind wisp.
There it is. I was right. See? I'm not kidding.
Shelby pulled up the picture for Dan.
Thank you. I'm not crazy. You all think I'm crazy, but...
I mean, you might be still, but...
Can you?
So...
Thanks, Shelby. I love you. Thank you.
I love this game, and I think it's an experience well worth having. It's really, really short, maybe an hour max. But I like it so much because it's a story that deals with all different aspects of life and love and basically just... Because it deals with when you're alone, it deals with when you first meet somebody and that excitement, and then it deals with when it starts to get a little stale, what do you do? Deals with loss, deals with... Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just kind of runs the gamut, and it just... The way the music is paired with these scenes, it really does a great job at evoking emotion, and it's almost like a short animated film or something.
That's awesome.
But
Cool.
The way it uses the iPhone contextually, I can't recommend it enough. I think it's an amazing, amazing game, and like I said, it'll take you an hour max. You need headphones. And it costs, $3-4 probably,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
For an emotional experience, I'm in.
It's excellent. I really think you should play it. It's a great game. So that's Florence. I don't know. Let's look up if it's on iOS and Android or just iOS. I played it on iOS.
I'm just so happy that the picture of the wind wisp. I wasn't kidding.
Yeah, you're right. I think her hair's blowing in the wind. I don't know if
Dan.
she's a wisp.
It's the cover of everything.
I know, but I don't know what a wisp is.
There was a GIF. How do you say?
So I think it's just iPhone. Yeah, it's just on iTunes. Came out in February this year, and I think I want to see a price, but it's not on here. It says apps on Google Play.
Okay.
Maybe it is on that too.
Yeah, that'd be cool to play.
$2.99.
Not bad. It can't be.
So.
For an emotional
Really,
experience.
honestly, if you're interested at all in that sort of thing, I think it's just a super well done thing, and the things that it makes you do on the phone in order to proceed have a really good emotional resonance that you don't get from just watching something.
Cool.
It makes it interactive in a way that's not too over the top, but it's not. It doesn't feel like you're just watching something.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, love it. I'll also say I've been sick, and there are two games in particular that are like my comfort food from this year, and it's Into the Breach and Slay the Spire. So I'll just say I've been playing a lot of them. I started playing Into the Breach on the Switch, just because I could have it in bed easily.
I love Into the Breach. I just want to say that.
It's such a good game.
I love that game.
So I started playing it on the Switch again. Immediately fell back in love with it. It's such a great game. Also, Slay the Spire. I know we talked about early in the year.
Yeah, that's a throwback.
It's a hell of a game. and I hadn't played since they added in the third character. But goddamn, that third character is really, really cool to use. Anyway, those are the other 2 games I've been playing.
That's all with the cards, right? You pick the cards.
Yeah, Slay the Spire is basically a dungeon crawler with
you get
with the deck building.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We may be doing a series that might include that game.
What?
At some point. We'll talk about that another time. Anyway, the last game I've been playing this week...
I was going to try to say something like witty. I couldn't think of anything. So it just looked weird. I just did one of these. I'm like... I can't.
You know, sometimes that's all you need.
It's been a long day.
Game that I am very, very excited to talk about with you. One of the most unique game experiences I've ever had. It's called Return of the Ober Den. So, before we get into the game itself,
okay,
it's a game by a game developer named Lucas Pope. He makes games by himself. He has not made a game since 2013, where he made a game called Papers, Please, which is one of the most interesting and dour experiences you'll ever have. But it's an incredible game. And so, myself, like a lot of people that like these kind of games, have been like, where's Lucas Pope's next game? Where's Lucas Pope's next game?
Right.
A couple weeks ago, he said, so Return of the Ober Den is going to be out in a couple weeks. So here you go. I'll give you the pitch on the game now. Actually, you know what? I'm going to read exactly what the opening says.
Go for it.
Because it's the best way. Let's see.
Whoa, that's a cool art style. That looks like H.R. Geiger, sort of like...
It's really fucking cool.
With Nosferatu, text.
All right, here's what it says. Ready? This is from the Steam page, but it's also the opening to the game.
Okay.
In 1802, the merchant ship Ober Den set out from London for the Orient with over 200 tons of trade goods. 6 months later, it hadn't met its rendezvous point at the Cape of Good Hope and was declared lost at sea. Early this morning of October 14th, 1807, so 5 years later, the Ober Den drifted into the port at Falmouth with damaged sails and no visible crew. As insurance investigator for the East India Company's London office, dispatch immediately to Falmouth, find means to board the ship, and prepare an assessment of damages. So the game literally is, you are an insurance adjuster for, East India Trading Company,
mm-hmm.
and your job is find out what happened on the ship and write a report. Sounds like this is what Lucas Pope does best, is he takes something that sounds mundane and a little strange, and he makes just such an interesting thing around it. So aside from, I'll say right away, the art style is like nothing I've ever seen before. He calls it a 1-bit art style. Okay. Because it's just color and lack of color. Like there's nothing else. And everything is drawn with just lines and dots. Like there's no, it's not like, it's very unique.
It reminded me a little of this. I remember my mom went to the library when I was 7, because I was into old school horror, so she bought me this horror book. It was like scary stories, but they were actually terrifying stories, and that was what that art style looked like. So it was just that creepy.
Really?
I still freaks me out a little bit. I remember there was this one story where this girl, she looked just like that, and she had no eyeballs, and there was this guy coming from behind the wall trying to grab her.
It's stuck in your head, huh? Maybe this game's gonna be a little tough on you.
Right.
So, the way this game is played is, I gave you the pitch on what it is. You have a book. All you get going into it is a book and basically a pocket watch.
Okay.
Now, what this allows you to do is the book is filled with, it includes a map of the ship's charted course.
Okay.
It includes a full, what do you call it? The list of the ship's name, people on the ship.
Crew members?
Yeah, it's a list of the full crew members. And it basically says the crew member's name, what nationality they are, and what their role on the ship was. And then it gives you a picture that was drawn by the artist that was on board. So it's there's 3 different pictures, and they're all stitched together, and it's one is a day out on the sea, and it's a bunch of people dancing and doing whatever. And then it'll say the other one is a really dark looking picture with a guy like about to be hanged, and then another one is just these like 4 royals that are like royal some sort of Asian. So you see these 4 pictures stitched together, you see the full list of crew members, and you see the charted course. And then there's a preface that says, "Hi, this is my name. What you have to do is go on board, tell me who everyone is, so identify each person, tell me how they died, and who killed them."
So it's like Clue.
It's like the coolest detective game I've ever played. It's incredible. Because what the gameplay itself is, you find a dead body.
Oh my god.
So you'll find...
everybody's dead. It wasn't like the ship went, like...
definitely not everybody is dead. There's nobody on the ship. So the whole...
And you went alone?
Yeah, there's nobody on the ship.
They didn't bring your backup?
No, you don't need it. There's nobody there. So you go on the ship, and there's a skeleton right away when you walk in. Now, when you point the pocket watch at the skeleton, it replays how they died. So it doesn't show you... It shows you a still 3D image of their death, and it plays the audio of what it sounded like before they died. So the opening one is... there are 2 guys, and they're like, "Open the door!" And he's like, "Why would I open the door?" And then they say, "Captain, open up!" And then you hear the door kick and a gun shoot. And then it freeze frame. Let's check out the death. And you can walk around this 3D of so you see a guy with a gun pointing. You see the guy getting shot like this.
Wow.
And your job is put in the book who that man that was shot is, identify him from the ledger. How did he die? By gun. From who? The captain. Is what your context clues are.
Can you mess this up and like false accuse people? And...
So the way it works
is skip ahead.
That's the premise of the game, and that is how the game is played. And what happens is you'll find other bodies, or in the scene of the body you found, there will be other dead people, and you can like link these stories together. And the book starts filling out information about what happened. Like it kind of paints the pages as you see these scenes. And then it does a really clever thing of their picture in that drawing I told you, that's a drawing of the whole crew, their picture will be blurry if you don't have enough evidence, if you have not seen enough to correctly identify the person.
Okay, so
all of a sudden you'll see a scene with 40 people in it, and then 10 faces will unblur, and you're like, how am I supposed to know who this is? And it's like, it's in there somewhere. So you can either try to just pound your head against it and figure it out, or look over some more scenes, maybe get a little more information about these people. It is one of the coolest games I've ever played. I love this game.
Man, this sounds amazing.
It is so good, Dan.
Let's play it.
It is so good. And the thing I'll say about it is it's super hard. It's a puzzle game, and there's like... you really have to think, and you really have to use deduction. Like, I had a notepad when I was playing. And
I love the games like that.
It's
like
so
side.
good. It's so
Cool.
good. I adore this game. Again, it's called Return of the Ober Den. It just came out this past Thursday.
Did you beat it?
I beat it.
So it's a quick game?
Not that quick. It took me 10 hours, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
10 or 11, something like
that.
But it is like...
That sounds amazing.
Oh, it's so
I want
good.
to try that out. That sounds
it is so good. So I'll be talking about at the end of the episode about a new series we're going to be doing, but the first episode is going to be Return of the Ober Den.
Oh
so
man,
I'm
can't wait.
Excited
Cool.
to show you guys
I
about that.
cannot wait. Perfect.
So I'll leave it with that as far as Return of the Ober Den. I don't want to give any more away.
Pumped.
But it's the layers of intrigue in this are not only is it just so cool to be the detective and figure out what happened.
Right.
But the scenes that you're seeing and the story that's unfolding is so good, so well written, and the way he paced it out based on like what you might see before other scenes and stuff, it's a brilliant game.
Let's do it.
And I'm so happy that you know how I said Wander Song only had a few reviews, but they were mostly positive.
Okay.
Ober Den is in a similar boat. But I think they have 8 reviews on Metacritic, and it's at like a 91 or 92 or something. So I'm glad that it's getting the credit it deserves.
I need some more. Let's circle back. Let's push it.
Yeah, let's get on Metacritic. Anyway, that's Return of the Ober Den. Lucas Pope made an excellent game. I'm going to look up the price real quick.
What platform?
So it's only on Steam right now.
So it's only PC.
Yes.
I check it out. I just saw a quick thing of like the trailer. It looks so cool, just like the
It's $20.
art style.
$20, and I'm telling you, I cannot recommend it enough.
That's awesome.
This is a brilliant game. Not only a brilliant idea of a game, but the execution is superb. It is, I was in I've been sick. And I was in a fever dream playing this game, like a beautiful mind, like this person here. And I'm I have a fever. I'm losing my mind. But Return of the Ober Den, one of the best games of the year.
That's amazing. Cool.
It's gonna be, as we get down to it, the amount of games that we love this year is kind of freaking me out a little bit.
It was so funny. Last year I was like, this is the best year for video games. But now my list of games that I enjoyed this year are even more than the games that I enjoyed last year.
There are so many. I feel like it's once a month where I'm like, this is one of the best games of the year. But it's when it comes down to it, man, Return of the Ober Den is just a fucking great game.
It's going to be tough.
It's so
I got to
good.
play it.
I know, you really got to play it. I know you don't really play PC games, but...
And we got another game. Watch this segue.
Let's hear it.
And we have another game coming out that might be a contender for Game of the Year that we might love or hate. And I think we should talk about it.
I think it's unlikely that we're going to hate it, to be honest.
I mean, we should just talk about it.
So you're talking about Red Dead Redemption 2.
I was trying to segue it, but I think...
It's all right. You did a good job.
But
I liked it. Red Dead Redemption 2, the reason we're talking about it, not only is it out at the time that you're hearing this, it has just come out this past Friday.
So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're a couple days out. But we have some interesting things to talk about with Rockstar. I want to preface this whole conversation by saying, number one, we need unions in games.
Yes, agreed.
Number two, because a game has some questionable labor practices, I don't believe that is grounds alone to not play a game. Because the people that spent their time working on these games are the ones that suffer by you not playing the thing that now they're done with and they're proud of and they want you to play it. You're punishing the wrong people. Because it's never going to happen. What's going to happen is from the inside. Us not buying Red Dead Redemption... I say, I'm not going to buy Red Dead Redemption 2 because I'm not happy about this. That is such a small potatoes thing to them because they're going to sell like crazy and they're going to continue to do what they're doing. The things that are going to cause change are people like Jason Schreier at Kotaku, who's writing these articles that we're about to talk about and saying, this is an issue, here are the people saying it's an issue, just getting awareness out there. This is the idea of
grassroots?
Well, when you're talking about, who was the guy that wrote in the late 1800s about the meatpacking industry and stuff?
Oh, Upton Sinclair.
Yeah. So this, and guess what? That's how it changes. It's not people saying, I don't want meat anymore, because you're going to fucking have it.
Yeah.
And even if you say, I want to be a vegetarian, I'm boycotting the meat industry.
I'm a vegetarian.
I know. That's why I said it. But I'm saying, even if you say that, that doesn't cause everyone to say that.
True.
But
I think talking about it does, and
yes,
I think
that's what I'm talking about.
It's key to have our place as people that enjoy this medium, with other people, fellow people that enjoy the medium, to bring this up. But
I think an important distinction is whenever we talk about Red Dead Redemption 2, we mention the labor practices. I think that is absolutely crucial. Keep that at the forefront of this discussion, and we can still come out and say on the next episode, this is one of my favorite games of the year. I adore this game. I hate the way that their labor practices are, and I want change. But this is an excellent game, and I'm glad.
I see what you're saying. Your point about rewarding the work, I totally
have gotten
agree
from multiple people because this is a huge thing, and we haven't even talked about the articles yet. But this is a huge thing in the industry right now, and I keep seeing game developers, like independent game developers, saying, how do I, like, people are asking, how do I help support, you know,
The unionization.
the unionization and stop these bad labor practices? And everyone says, play the game and enjoy it if you enjoy it, but keep talking about it and keep it at the forefront of the discussion. And I agree with that sentiment because you're not helping. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no,
it's
you're
really
right.
not.
It's really.
I understand. The question always is like, it's your money that you're giving to them, so you're supporting it monetarily. Right. But optics are a huge thing for these companies.
Right. So
because they have shareholders. So even if they make all the money and then all of a sudden everyone hates them, they're gonna have to change something.
Right.
Because outwardly people are saying, we don't like what you're doing.
I just feel like, but then aren't they like, well, they're still buying our games, so even if they hate us, we're still...
To a certain extent, you're right, but, you know, we've seen it time and time again where optics are important. Mm-hmm. And that's why you see these things coming out where these people are saying, like, you know, and again, I want to get into articles, but after a lot of the stuff happened, Dan Houser basically said, hey, here are some employees, I allowed them to go on Twitter because usually they have like a social media ban while they're working on a game. And a lot of them are coming out and saying, I love working at Rockstar, blah, 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 whatever. But, you know, let's get into the articles now and we'll talk a little bit more. Let me just cough quick. All right, so original issue. This was like October 13th or something like that. Dan Houser had an interview with Vulture. And the whole article and interview is kind of gross. Like, in a similar way to how a lot of, like, pieces that are about an individual are kind of gross. And they kind of, like, deify somebody. It was kind of a gross article. I didn't like it at all.
Gross how? Like, where he's just...
In a way of, like...
He's just an asshole?
No, like, the person interviewing isn't saying isn't giving him any tough questions. He's just saying, like, wow, that's amazing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I get it. Like,
I get so grossed out by that.
So
like,
good.
Yeah,
like how did you think of this?
Absolutely hate that. So, the quote that was pulled out of that article was the big one.
We were working, yeah.
Dan Houser, who is the vice president and co-founder of Rockstar, said, we were working 100-hour weeks. That was the only part of the quote that was important. So he was basically saying, like, we were working 100-hour weeks to get everything done. Like, you know, we really care about this project. Like, he was using it as, like, a point of bragging.
Okay.
Right? Everyone got very upset about that, as they should. He comes out and clarifies. He says, I'll just read the actual statement here, because it's not that long. After all the hubbub, he comes out and says, there seems to be some confusion arising from my interview with Harold Goldberg of Vulture. Mm-hmm. The point I was trying to make in the article was related to how the narrative and dialogue in the game was crafted, which was mostly what we talked about, not about the different processes of the wider team. After working on the game for 7 years, the senior writing team, which consists of 4 people, Mike Unsworth, Rupert Humphreys, Laszlo, and myself, had, as we always do, 3 weeks of intense work when we wrapped everything up. 3 weeks, not years. We've all worked together for at least 12 years now and feel we need this to get everything finished. After so many years of getting things organized and ready on this project, we needed this to check and finalize everything. Then he says, more importantly, this is where it gets interesting for me. More importantly, we obviously don't expect anyone else to work this way. Across the whole company, we have some senior people who work very hard purely because they're passionate about a project or their particular work, and we believe that passion shows in the games we release. But that additional effort is a choice, and we don't ask or expect anyone to work anything like this. Lots of other senior people work in an entirely different way and are just as productive. I'm just not one of them. No one, senior or junior, is ever forced to work hard. That quote in particular, what are you even saying at that point? I believe we go to great lengths to run a business that cares about its people and to make the company a great place for them to work.
See, I feel like a lot of that was just, like you said, with that working, like, if he equates working hard with 100-hour work week,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
big issue right there.
That's
I've never heard anybody say, no one, senior or junior, is ever forced to work hard. What the hell does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. If he said no one ever, senior or junior, is forced to work overtime.
Right.
That's a different thing. Now, aside from that, the things that you can start pulling out of here, even before Jason Schreier's article that just came out yesterday that we're going to talk about, the things you can pull out are only the 4 of us at the senior writing team are the ones doing these 100-hour weeks. So really, what's the big deal? The big deal is you're the one setting the example for people. So what people often don't understand is even if you're saying, hey, work your normal time, but your boss might be working double the time that you're working.
Right.
Or your coworker is really passionate. He wants to work 70 hours. It's like now you're not in a position where you feel comfortable working 40 hours.
I was thinking, too, when he mentioned passion, I think he mentioned something about being passionate
in
there. But I think that also presents a problem where it's like, well, we love our games.
Oh, I hate that.
So, like, we love our games, so that's why we do it.
I don't know why people in creative mediums think it's okay to say, we have such great jobs, we love working overtime. Like, that is just so fucked up.
Yeah,
that is, like, such a bad mentality and such a dangerous mentality. Because here's what it is. Across the whole company, we have some senior people who work very hard purely because they're passionate about a project or their particular work.
That's stupid, though, because
that
doesn't make any sense. Because then you're saying that someone who, all right, I've worked 8 days, I'm tired. It doesn't mean that they love their job or what they're doing any less.
Hate it. Absolutely hate it. So
it's just like a really phony excuse, I think.
The interesting thing is right after this all came out, Jason Schreier at Kotaku, he's one of the best reporters in the games industry. He has a lot of sources. He always comes out with these really, really interesting, in-depth articles. He sends out a tweet that basically says, hey, not apropos of this Dan Houser quote, but I've been working on a piece about Rockstar for months, even longer, and I'm going to be coming out with that around the release of Red Dead. So he just released this now, and I'm kind of going to skim through with you guys, and we're just going to find specific quotes here, because he got a lot of quotes from, let me see exactly where it is. This is a little background here by Schreier, and again, this is from Kotaku.com. The name of the article is Inside Rockstar Games' Culture of Crunch. So, let me read this one real quick. The tale of Red Dead Redemption 2's development is complicated and sometimes contradictory. For some people at Rockstar, it was a satisfying project, an ambitious game that took reasonable hours and far less crunch than the company's previous games. Many current employees say they're happy to work at Rockstar and love being able to help make some of the best games in the world. Others describe Red Dead 2 as a difficult experience, one that cost them friendships, family time, and mental health. Nobody interviewed said they worked 100-hour weeks. That would equate to 7 14-hour days. But many said their average weekly hours came close to 55 or 60, which would make up 6 10-hour days. Most current and former Rockstar employees said they had been asked or felt compelled to work nights and weekends. Some were on hourly contracts and got paid overtime, but many were salaried and did not receive any compensation for their extra hours. So what I want to say right off the bat, before we get into some of the quotes and anecdotes, because some of them are really, really interesting. This is not unique to games, and this is not even unique to. This is not even unique to the entertainment medium.
Mm-hmm.
You can look across so many different industries and see people that are salaried employees that are like just accept the fact like, hey, I work 60-hour weeks because I need to. There's certain things I need to get done, and I need to get them done. And what I want to emphasize so much is, it is a person-to-person basis. I'm not here to say you shouldn't want to work 50-hour weeks if you want to work 50-hour weeks. That is your prerogative. But what I am here to say is the people that are pressured into working more than they feel comfortable working are in a bad work environment.
Well, right.
That's the bottom line is like the thing that we're saying is for the people that whether they're told they have to or not, or if they just feel like they have, like if they feel uncomfortable not working overtime, it's like that is an issue, and that's what we need to talk about.
You say it perfectly, because you said it was pressure, and that's the thing too. If you have 100 people and 70 of them are staying late, and you're the 30 walking out, there's that sort of well, if everybody else is doing it, sort of thing, and that's because of the precedent set by the CEOs and the higher ups. If anything, they should be setting the precedent that no, it's okay to, and they're not. Whether it's malicious or not, it's wrong.
Yes, agreed. So I'm going to read some of the anecdotes real quick. I got one here. There are absolutely people who at various times worked really long hours. There are also individuals who are exaggerating what their actual hours were, as we have confirmed their self-reported numbers at the time as substantially lower from what they recall having done in their postings online. And we have offered to share the evidence of that with you if given permission from those people. There's something here that's several Rockstar staff said they were infuriated by Hauser's comments, implying that overtime at the company was voluntary. One current developer said, I didn't volunteer for it. I just know that's the cost of working where I'm at.
Wow.
We've heard the highest number of tough crunch stories from 2 offices in particular, Rockstar Lincoln in the United Kingdom and Rockstar's main headquarters in New York City. From other Rockstar studios, we've heard a variety of positive and negative stories. Didn't hear anything from Rockstar India, though. Personal experiences may differ, but anecdotes from current and former employees paint a consistent picture. Rockstar Games is a complicated and sometimes difficult company, one where working hard is equated to working for as many hours as possible.
That's exactly what Dan Hauser said.
Yep. Many told Kotaku that they felt pressure to stay at the office at night and even come in on the weekends if they wanted to succeed. Despite Dan Hauser's quote that no one senior or junior is ever forced to work hard, people who have worked and currently work at Rockstar say that overtime is mandatory. In conversation, several use the phrase "culture of fear," with some saying that they're worried about lawsuits or other retaliation for speaking up. So there's a couple quotes in here. You can talk about that for a little bit while I find a couple of quotes, because I remember reading little snippets.
Yeah. Well, no, that's exactly it. Like that's the real issue, because even if they're not, like you said, and if I'm repeating myself, but like it's not that they're specifically saying, all right, like you have to. They're not coming outright and saying like, okay, you got to work 60 hours, 70 hours, but that pressure that like they were saying, that culture of fear, that precedent that's set with, okay, if you don't work. Well, actually, you know what Dan Hauser did say it. If he's saying, you know what, working hard is equated to, you know, okay, I got to work 80 hours, then if someone says, okay, well, you know, it's 5 o'clock, I got to head home, then they start feeling like, oh, well, maybe I'm not working hard, I'm not working as hard as, and then there's that fear of being fired. They said fear of lawsuits and any sort of retaliatory measures.
That's exactly what it is.
That's the problem. And if every company's doing this, I'm glad that Kotaku and places are speaking up about this. I just feel like there's got to be some more drastic measures to actually get something done. Something needs to be done. And I don't know specifically how to do that. Unionization is a great method. I'm totally with that. But you're right, it's got to come within the industry. And these developers, you know, they're the ones that, you know, being sacrificed.
Absolutely. I'm going to read a couple quick quotes here. In the thick of this crunch, Rockstar San Diego began offering laundry service, according to 2 people who work there, which, as another former employee pointed out, left some people feeling uncomfortable. They wouldn't even have enough time to spare to do laundry. Interesting. It was mandatory 80 hours for basically the whole studio, said one person who was there. If you don't have any work to do on Red Dead 2, just test GTA 5 for another 8 hours, said a second. Maybe they didn't tell anyone 100 hours, but they definitely told us 80. Concept artists were sitting there being glorified QA. Those who had worked fewer than 60 hours were marked with the word under in red letters.
Whoa, see, there you go.
That's an issue. That's a big issue.
So there you go. So they do expect it.
Yeah. Nothing's more clear than that. Something I also want to say, you know, I think we kind of got the gist for what we've been talking about here. But there's something that came out today, I think. Here it is. So there was a GQ, it was like a article about a person. What the hell is the name of that? Why can't I think of the name of that?
Article for a person?
Yeah, it's like when you're doing a
Editorial.
blank on somebody. Like
Editorial?
No, it's like a... what is it? Not a biography. There's a word. Oh well, I'm gonna remember it when we're done recording.
You could be sleeping in 3
So there was a GQ piece that was done on Dan Hauser, same exact thing. And here's a really interesting quote. He says, Sam is his brother, who was also a higher up at the company. He says, Sam and I talk about this a lot. And it's the games And it's that games are still magical. It's like they're made by elves. You turn on the screen and just this world that exists on TV. I think you gain something by not knowing how they're made. As much as we might lose something in terms of people's respect for what we do, their enjoyment of what we do is enhanced, which is probably more important. So the reason that's so telling to me is that you're really just saying, so not only are you disparaging the individuals that worked
on it, yeah,
but you're really just saying, you're propping up that idea that's so destructive of,
doesn't matter
who makes
these games,
but it's like we work on such amazing projects. It's like, it's just so amazing that we get to make this kind of content. And it's like, yes, you do make great games, but it matters. You know what I mean? Like, it's
it's
much,
like your clothes are amazing, but they're made by sweatshops. So it's like,
it's just kind of, it comes across as pretty ignorant for me. And
but what's really frustrating is you see that not with just Rockstar. You see this with so many companies.
So the thing that I wanted to make a distinction about is, you see a culture of crunch in video games industry where it's like the few months leading up to the game, you're crunching. Everyone's so worried. We got to get this out the door at the right time. We got to get this out the door at the right time. And that's awful, number one. But this is to a whole nother level because people are talking about doing this for years, not just crunching. Like, we worked overtime.
We've been working like 7 years. And like,
yeah. So, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about our feelings about this situation.
No, you're right.
And again, I want to be clear. We are going to cover Red Dead on our next episode. It seems likely we're going to like the game very much. It seems like a very good game. But every time we talk about it, we are going to talk about these labor practices and how they shouldn't. We don't support them, and we wish that there was more we could do.
Yeah.
But we're just here trying to let everybody know the situation, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that just play the games and don't think about it. And the more people that start thinking about it, that's how the change actually happens.
Yeah, no, it's horrible.
So, Dan, unless you have anything else to add, I think we're going to end the episode there.
I'm just, something's got to change. Something's got to give.
Something's got to give. Thank you guys for watching. Before we sign off, I want to let you guys know we're going to be doing a series. We always do a Game of the Year podcast where we kind of talk about every single game that we played this year, whittle them down, get a top 10. Going into that, within the next couple of weeks, we're going to put Darkest Blunders and Model Timelines on hold, and we're going to start doing every Friday. We're going to put up a different indie game that we think is good enough to be a contender for the top 10 games of the year.
Yeah, so get you guys a little acclimated with some games that you might have not heard about.
Yeah, exactly. It's just our idea was we want to prop up these games that are some of our favorites, but you may not have heard of or seen. So we're just going to, it's going to vary. The time that we're going to spend on them is going to vary depending on the game. Some of them we might put a couple hours into. Some of them we might just put a half hour into. But we thought it would be cool, let you guys know what some of these games are, so that when you're listening to the Game of the Year podcast, you're not like, I never heard of this. I don't even have any fucking idea what that is. So that's going to be going up over the next couple weeks, and it will be every Friday leading up to Game of the Year once the first one goes on.
Cool.
So, with that, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, Shelby. Thank you, Dan, for being here with me.
Shelby, thank you. Dan, thank you.
And thank you guys for watching. Until next time. What's up, guys? It's Dan from Circle Back. I'm just here to let you know you can find everything that we do at circlebackgaming.com. If you just want the podcast, we're on iTunes. If you just want the video, we're on YouTube. So, catch us either place. Thanks.